This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about Charlie the Tuna and his sad life goals, dance fighting in a greasy-spoon diner, and the national hero that is Dolly Parton. All that and more as we watch Season 2, Episode 21 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Imran. Joining me every week, as always, my dear sister, Sophia. How's it going, Sophia?
Oh, my goodness. It's going well. I just started a new job after months and months of job searching and talking to people and interviewing, and now I'm at a new job, but it's like challenging and, I'm just still learning the ropes.
Are you in a management trainee position with room for growth? Or are you flipping burgers there? Which way did this
Somewhere
go?
in the middle, I think.
Okay.
But I'm glad you asked me that. A very apt question, because today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 21 of Perfect Strangers, called Get a Job.
Yes. Again, another great song reference, song title. These writers love to use songs as titles. And this is the classic doo-wop song from the Silhouettes from 1957. You know this one, right? Everybody.
Get a job. Do 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 do.
It's so fun and silly. And then this is my favorite part. Get a job. Isn't that lovely? I love
They're making like
doo-wop.
Muppet noises.
Yep, yes, like those aliens. Yep, telephone.
All right.
That's a different show.
What was in the TV guide for this episode?
TV guide would have told you this week Larry and Balki quit their jobs in a huff and take quote-unquote management trainee positions at a burger joint to pay the rent. Oh, boy.
Boy.
There you go. And this is a hard thing to quit a place, to start at a new place. It's all very traumatic.
We've only ever known them at Ritz Discount.
As Ritz Discount
since this
employees.
show started, yeah. So in this episode, we see our two favorites, Bronson Pinch Show and Marklyn Baker. We also have brief appearances by Melanie Wilson and Rebecca Arthur as Jennifer and Marianne.
Yay.
And, of course, the Twinkassettis, Ernie Sabella and Belita Marino. And this episode aired on March 5th, 1987.
Act 1 opens at Ritz, and everyone's there. The foursome, Balki and Larry and Jennifer and Marianne. And Larry is planning a great date to take the girls out, and he tells them they can pick any restaurant they want. He and Balki are going to treat them to dinner. Money is no object. And Balki goes, you heard that right. When Larry and Balki go first class, they eat the whole hog. And you get your first screwed up reference right away.
What is the actual reference?
I believe the line is go the whole hog. The expression is go the whole hog, meaning to do something as completely as possible.
Which is funny because that's in 1987, but today actually eating the whole hog is like a hipster, like nose to tail, nothing goes to waste kind of thing.
Yeah, farm to table.
You would actually eat the whole
sustaining
hog.
self. I've been to those. Those are fun.
So I want to point out, though, in this scene, we're going to hear about Balki's clothes later, but Marklyn Baker, Larry, is in another green solid ensemble, darker green this time, and the girl's hair is enormous.
Oh, they're like two big square blocks of blonde hair when they're standing next to each other. Like it's like a Lego brick of hair. It's hilarious. You're right. I didn't notice that.
So they've just invited the girls to dinner. They're like, money's not a thing. Jennifer's like, oh, man, you must be pretty confident that Twinkassetti's going to give you that raise. Balki's like, yes, Cousin Larry put it in very uncertain terms.
There's another one. There's another screw-up line. What's that line?
In no uncertain terms.
In no uncertain terms.
In other words, very, very certain terms. But Balki has made it very uncertain terms.
Well, it makes sense with Larry. I think he would put him in uncertain terms. Yeah.
So Larry is very confident of himself at this point, and he's like, I had a talk with Twinkassetti. yesterday, and the raise is in the bag.
Oh, boy.
And he's trying to be all macho. He's like, I told him that when he walked through this door today, I want an answer, and it better be the right one.
And just then, cue Twinkasetti, who enters the store reading a paper. Larry goes, good morning, Mr. Twinkasetti. Twinkasetti goes, yeah, and huffs and mumbles and just walks right past them on his way to his office.
What a grump.
Embarrassing them in front of everyone. And Balki stops him and goes, Mr. Twinkasetti, isn't there something you want to tell us? And Twink goes, yeah, get to work. And turns around and goes to his office, and the two are super embarrassed. This is an embarrassing moment for everyone to witness.
And then Balki has this excellent line, maybe my favorite in the whole episode. He says, cousin, we're not going to let him do that to us, are you?
Are you? Yes, that's so great. Because Larry does, you see Larry do a double take. He's like,
yeah,
wait,
his face,
are you? You're not going to let him do that to us, are you?
Yeah.
And Larry goes, no, we're not. We're going to clear this up right now as they march over to Twinkasetti's office. Larry knocks on the door. Little light physical comedy here as Balki follows a little too close so that when Larry gets to the door and turns around, he bumps right into Balki, who's following just too closely. And Twinkasetti comes out, and Larry goes, Mr. Twinkasetti, we need to talk about our rates. And Twink goes, oh, yeah, I promised I'd have an answer for you, didn't I? And Balki goes, you're darn tooting.
Darn tooting. He says, you're darn tooting.
You're darn tooting. And Twinkasetti goes, well, I'm a man of my word. No raise. And he walks back into the office, closing the door. And Balki goes, well, I guess we're snookered. Oh, jeez. So harsh, Twinkasetti.
But Larry's not having it. He goes back to the door. He knocks again, turns around, and once again, Balki has followed him too closely. He turns around, bumps into Balki in the same way, pushes him back to the side. And Twinkasetti comes out again, and Larry says, Mr. Twinkasetti, we are overworked and underpaid. And Twinkasetti's like, I know you are. I'm not insensitive. That's why I hired a new guy to help you out.
Oh, what?
And then Larry gets even more mad and indignant. He's like, how can you afford to hire a new guy if you can't even give us a raise? And Twinkasetti explains, simple economics. It's the trickle-down theory. You see, the money I'm going to pay the new guy will be trickling out of your salary. Sorry.
A nice Reaganomics there.
And now Larry's like, had it. Okay, that was like too much. And he goes on, points to Larry. He gets this courage to lecture at Twinkasetti. He's like, every day you insult me and I take it. Well, I'm not going to take it anymore. There are a million jobs out there better than this and a million bosses better than you. Ooh. I quit.
Oh, snap.
And then Balki says, I quit too.
Wow.
And Larry's like, Balki, you don't have to do that just because of me. And Balki says, yes, I do. We're a team. We should be together. Aww. Oh, my gosh, this is breaking my heart.
Oh.
We're a team. We should be together. And then Twinkasetti's like, yeah, he's right. You share a brain. You should stay together. And then Balki gets a little bit of the nerve that Larry has worked up and says, you can't talk to us like that anymore. Like the great Nancy Sinatra said, these boots were made for walking. There's another reference.
Here's an instance, though, but where he explains his own reference in the reference. That's fantastic. Like, it's a Nancy Sinatra song. You don't have to explain it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? That's great. Twinkasetti goes, fine, walk. Who needs you? Twinkasetti shuts at them. He heads back in his office. And Larry goes, oh, yeah? Well, who needs you? And Twink slams the door, and a picture flies off the wall. And Larry and Balki both go, ha, 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 ha. And then Larry's like, that, you know what? That felt pretty good. Balki's like, you could say that again. And then they go again, ha, 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 ha. And then Balki stops, and he looks up, and he's just looking at the sky, and he goes, now what do we do? And Larry goes, I don't know. Oh, he starts crying. But Larry goes, look, we're going to get new jobs. Don't worry. In America, you can do anything you want to do. You just have to set your sights high. And Balki goes, could I be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? Balki asks, and Larry goes, lower, Balki. And Balki goes, could I be the Supreme Justice of the Supreme Court?
An easy gag. An easy gag in the throwaway joke, but this joke is a little profound as well. Because, well, not this joke, but what he says before it is like, in America, you can be anything you want to be, set your sights high, and then Balki sets his sight high. He's like, just kidding.
Yeah,
not really,
you can't really, baby.
Which is like kind of the messed up thing about America sometimes. But so then we go to the next scene. And it's the exterior of a greasy spoon diner called Fat Marsha's Burgers.
Yes, I love the name of this diner. It reminds me, there's a place called Hamburger Mary's.
That's where it was inspired by it. Actually, it's probably someplace in LA, this exterior. But then we see the interior, and it's a dive. It's a greasy spoon diner, similar to the Billy Goat's Tavern cheeseburger place from SNL.
Cheeseburger. I love there's diners like these. I love diners like these. They're always so interesting, and you meet the most interesting people in these dive diners.
Yeah, important to note in the interior of this set of Fat Marsha's, it's divey, and it has Chicago Blackhawks stuff all over the walls.
Yeah, it's like a Blackhawks theme
place. The NHL hockey team in Chicago, for anyone who doesn't know.
And as Balki and Larry enter, you see there is a tall woman dressed mostly in like teal spandex, cleaning the counter.
Shiny teal, like metallic.
Yes. Larry thinks the employment agency has sent them to the wrong place. He goes, this place doesn't have a management program. A methadone program, maybe. Which is a joke. And then Balki goes, okay, we trained for that then. And, it's always hopeful, Balki.
Wait, methadone program is like a drug addiction treatment,
methadone program is a treatment to get people off heroin, I believe.
Yeah, okay,
use methadone to slowly get them off. So it's a bad neighborhood methadone clinic. I don't know. But Balki is trying to look at the bright side. He goes, come on, cousin, let's face it. We are going to have to chew the bullet on this one.
He means bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet. He says, chew the bullet. He says, it's been 2 weeks. The rent is due, and I haven't heard back from the Supreme Court. So he applied to the Supreme Court.
He did. At least he did. He's not going to listen to Larry all the time.
You never know.
So Larry and Balki go up to this lady, and she's tall. She's towering over both of them. I mean, Larry's pretty short, but she's towering over Balki as well. And she is this like sassy, older, confident, tall woman in like metallic spandex teal pants. And she's sassy. And so they go up to her at the counter, and they're like, we're looking for so-and-so, the name in the ad. And she's like, that's me, Fat Marsha. And Balki goes, you don't look fat, Fat Marsha. And she's like, thank you, sweetie. And she says she used to weigh 300 pounds, but then she opened that diner and lost her appetite. And now I'm having the time of my life.
She's a fun Southern gal, this Fat Marsha.
Yeah, kind of. She's very like a confident woman. Confident, sassy woman. She comes out from behind the counter, and she goes up to them, and she's like, are you here about the jobs, or are you answering my ad in the personals?
Oh, boy.
And she's like, kind of like ickily looking them over up and down. Balki introduces himself and cousin Larry, and she turns to Larry and she's like, hey, you're cute. And Larry gets all nervous and flustered. He's like, I think there's been a mistake. And she's like, no, you're cute, all right.
And then Fat Marsha turns to Balki. She goes, where are you from? And Balki says, I'm from Mipos, but I could still work here, can't I? Fat Marsha's like, well, of course you can, darling. I'm an equal opportunity employer. And Balki looks and goes, well, I'm an equal opportunity. All happy. And then Larry goes, the employment office must have said, they sent us here for management trainee positions, but I'm sure they gave us the wrong address. And as he tries to leave, Fat Marsha puts her leg up on one of the stools, blocking him in. Reminding me of like The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman,
Yeah.
Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me?
Yeah.
So she goes, no mistake. My other management trainees quit. They were worn out. Oh boy, what did she do to them?
Yeah.
She smiles at him all like bluely and steps aside. And she goes, I'm going to get your uniforms. And Larry stops her saying, look, we're really looking for something with career advancement opportunities. And she goes, well, don't worry, cutie. I got a feeling you're going to advance real fast. And she reaches down behind Larry and pinches his bottom.
Oh my God. Clutch my pearls.
Yes, she's goosed him in the booty.
She goosed him.
And Larry is now extremely nervous. Larry turns to see Balki, and Balki's just looking over his shoulder, staring at Larry's behind.
Yeah.
And then Balki comes back up to him and goes, she's got a nice smile.
Oh boy, so much happening in this.
Yes.
So here these two are getting exploited because they are desperate for income. And this lady is the only thing they have right now. So anyway, cut to the same diner a little bit later, and Fat Marcia is training them.
Oh, boy.
And Larry is at the grill, and Fat Marcia is behind him, holding either one of his hands, like guiding them around from behind him.
Very close behind him.
Very close. Right. Yeah, very intimate. Balki's over there taking notes. Did you notice that Balki's a lefty?
Oh, my God.
Balki is a lefty.
Also a lefty, listener. Wow, he is a lefty.
You're just like Balki. Yeah, I never noticed it before. I don't know if we've seen it before, but...
There's a lot of famous lefties out there.
So, I don't know if Bronson Pinchot's a lefty, but Balki's a lefty.
Oh, it could be a character? It could just be a character choice? Man.
Maybe.
Bronson got deep.
So she's like, Fat Marcia is holding Larry's hands from behind, all snuggled up behind him, like the big spoon behind him. And she's directing his arms, and she's talking to Balki. She's like, then you take the burger and put it on the plate. When you pick the bun and put it on the plate, and then you ring the bell, then you take the paper with your other hand, and you blah, blah. And then when she puts the order paper down on the counter, she like leans into Larry. And then you ring the bell. She's like, ring the bell, the little ding bell, doorbell. What is it called?
It's a bell.
Bell, yeah. Like a hotel bellman bell.
Yeah. No, it's a bell. It's called a bell.
Yeah, so she's getting real close with Larry. Larry's uncomfortable. And then she says to she sees Balki taking notes. She's like, I like your spirit, Balki. And you have nice, firm handwriting. And she like rubs his arms.
Yikes.
And then she turns to face Balki. She's like, you ever arm wrestled naked? Okay, it's so inappropriate.
What are we talking about?
What? Balki gets shy and he's like, no, that would be cheating.
What does that even mean? I'm not even sure how arm wrestling naked is cheating. I'm so confused.
No idea, but it's a funny line anyway. So she just laughs at that, and Larry is terrified. And then she gives them these paper hats that are all folded, and she's like, "Here, wear that. Put these on." And Balki immediately like starts tucking it into his shirt, like a bib or something.
A napkin.
And she's like, no. And she grabs it and then takes Balki's head and puts it down into her chest, into her bosoms, and puts the hat on Balki's head and then brings his head back up. And then she turns to Larry and she's like, need a hand, honey? And Larry's like, no, I got it. And he puts his own hat on his head. And then Fat Marcia looks him up and down again and says to Larry, oh, there's something about a man in a uniform that drives me crazy. And then she grabs his butt again.
Oh, boy.
And then she gathers her things and she leaves. She says she's gonna go pump some iron.
Okay,
she'll be back in a couple
two
of
gooses
hours.
For Larry, 0 for Balki so far. I'm keeping
it's coming though.
So after she takes off to pump iron, the boys get to work. Balki ducks down behind the counter and pops up. He goes, "Oh, cousin, you're not gonna believe this!" And he stands up holding this giant can. He says, "It's a humongous can of tuna." He goes, "I bet Charlie and his whole family are in here."
Okay, so I know this is a reference, but I don't remember what it is.
You don't remember these Starkist tuna commercials that they ran until like the 90s, I thought. They're classic animated Starkist tuna. And the whole concept was Charlie, the tuna, was always trying to get himself into a can of Starkist, right? But the company that made Starkist, they'd always be like, sorry, Charlie, we only put the finest tuna in our Starkist.
Poor Charlie.
However, if you think about it, this is a really dark concept because what does Charlie want? Charlie every time was trying to get
a can to be eaten.
He was trying to get chopped up and put it in a can. What?
That's messed up.
Consumption. This is what Charlie, and he was sad when they kept rejecting killing him and eating him. I don't get it. But I remember, sorry, Charlie.
And then Balki, okay, so that's the Charlie reference. Balki's excited by this giant can of tuna. And then there is like this order wheel hanging from the ceiling.
Diners. Yeah, where you hang the ticket.
Stick the order paper on it and spin it so that
we've all watched Hell's Kitchen. You've seen this.
Yeah, exactly. So he's also excited by this order wheel, and he like spins it. And he's like, look at this, a message center. And then he's like, then he hits the bell, ding. He's like, and this, a bell system. And he says, I can't wait to write home about this. And Larry is like, cannot believe that Balki's so excited. He's like, Balki, wake up and smell the roach spray. This place is one step away from being condemned. And Balki's like, well, in Mypos, this is a 5-star restaurant.
Absolutely. This is probably in Mypos. They would kill to have a place like this. Those references to like a message center and a bell system, it's kind of interesting. I believe they may be talking about AT&T, Illinois Bell. Which like the at the time in the 80s there was high-end office equipment, which would be you'd have like a message center and like a bell connecting system, but also AT&T was known as Ma Bell, was their nickname. And also, we forget, this is what it reminded me of, is that for a long time, I remember until 1984, there was only one telephone company, and it was AT&T. That was it. They had it. They literally, I believe, the government had to break them up because it wasn't. And now you have so many things. It's hard to choose, right?
Well, we have like 5.
Well, there's still you got like your Cricket and your those other crazy things, but. It was only like there was only all the payphones were like Illinois Bell, AT&T, Ma Bell. Yeah. It was all one thing for a long time.
Okay.
So that made me think of that.
So anyway, the boys are like they're in the uniforms and they're like, we got to make the best of this, right? So they're like, let's get to work. And then Balki's like, I want to be the cook. I want to be cook. Larry's like, no, you're going to be the waiter. I'm going to be the cook. Balki's like, I want to be the cook. I want to be the cook. And then he does that thing. He's like, I want to be the cook. And Larry's like, oh, okay, all right. You can be the cook. And then he gets so happy and he takes his hat off and puts it on Larry and puts Larry's hat off on his as if they're different hats for waiter and cook.
That was the
but
cook
they
hat.
Are
no,
the
he was
same
right.
hat.
No, Larry was wearing the cook's hat, clearly.
And Larry just gives up. He's like, why am I arguing about the level of my humiliation? He's just mortified to be there in general.
Smartest thing he said so far. Why even? You are working.
And Balki is so excited. He's like ringing the bell.
So it cuts to some time passing. We get another exterior shot of Fat Marsha's. And the boys are putting together orders. There's a couple of customers in the restaurant. And here is a song alert as Balki is singing Dolly Parton's hit, Working 9 to 5. And it's so funny because he's dancing and he's putting fries in the deep fryer and he's putting burgers on the grill.
Yeah, he's spraying water.
And he's punctuating every move with the movement. He's making all the steam on the grill. This is actually the second time he's already sung. They're already reusing songs. Remember, he sang this in that episode, Picture This. I think that was like the first season, I think.
I can't remember the scene that he was singing the song.
He was cleaning. I think he was cleaning in Twin Cassetti's.
Oh, in Twin Cassetti. Yeah.
But that was the one where Larry was trying to get the photo of Dolly Parton.
Yeah, that's right. So somebody in the team, on the writing team, loved Dolly Parton. Yeah.
Dude, do you know what an amazing person Dolly Parton is? She's still very much in the public eye. She donated all this money for vaccine research. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And she's just nothing but a good shining light. Like, this is a legit great person.
She's a national hero.
40 years. They just celebrated like 40 years of Dolly Parton or something, or even more.
Dolly Parton is a national hero. I'm going to listen to her tonight. Okay.
Larry approaches Balki asking him how the chili dog is coming for the order. Balki's like, okay, I got it. He puts a big hot dog on the bun, and then he puts like a very large, generous amount of chili.
A scoop. He knocks over the whole pot
of chili. Yeah, and he has to lift it back up. And then Larry takes it out to the customers, and he goes to the next booth. There's a construction worker sitting there to get his order. Larry's like, what do you want? And he goes, yeah, last time I was in here, the meatloaf was gritty. It tasted like sawdust, and the gravy was that kind of greenish brown stuff. What's it like today? Larry goes, pretty much the same. The guy goes, give me a double order.
I feel like if you're ever on TV, you're going to play this like Chicago construction worker. You do that so well.
As this character.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy over here, let me tell you what he did. And then so Larry is just like in control. He turns around. This lady's about to like flag him down. He goes, your fries are coming. He's got this all under control.
He's cool as cucumber.
No problem. As he walks back into the kitchen, he puts the double order of meatloaf on the wheel. And then Balki's just having fun. He grabs the wheel and spins it around aggressively. And then reaches out and stops it and yanks the ticket off.
And he's like so happy and excited on his face.
And then he goes, I'm missing an order of fries. Balki, stops, looks up at the wheel. He goes, I don't see an order of fries. And Larry's like, I forgot to put it up. Balki goes, if it's not on the wheel, you don't get the meal.
I just made that up.
I just made that up and laughs at it. And then Larry scribbles the order of fries, puts it up there.
This whole little exchange wasn't really necessary.
It's so much fun, though.
To move the story, but it's fun because he's spinning the thing. But it also does, like, set up a little bit of how, like, Larry is type A. He needs to have things in order. Balki's having fun, but, like, also there's a system of, like, ticketing and whatever. And at this point, they both feel like we've got everything under control.
Yes.
This is not hard.
Yeah,
so it does serve to, like, punctuate
builds
that
the
point.
tension, and the contrast.
Then there's like another scene where they're preparing some more orders, 2 Black Hawk burgers and a puck burger, which look the same to me on the plates when he puts them on, when Balki puts them on.
They all look like pucks.
And then Balki's excited. He's like ringing the bell after he puts everything on every plate, and that just annoys Larry. Then Larry takes these 3 plates, these burgers, he delivers them expertly, and then he turns to the whole room. He's like, here's your fries to the other lady. Does anyone need anything? And everyone's like, no. And he's like, great. And then he goes back behind the counter. He's like, see, Balki, this job's a breeze. I think I'll bring in a little TV tomorrow.
He's getting a little cocky.
A little cocky. And so then, as Larry's talking to him, Balki is throwing a bunch of hamburger patties on the grill. And Larry's like, what are you doing? And Balki says that Fat Marcia told him to prepare like 25 patties just before the 4 o'clock rush. Larry's like, well, she also told me she's taking me to Club Med, but you don't see me packing. Club Med being a popular
it was like a resort vacation spot. Yeah.
Balki doesn't get the joke or the line, and he's like, oh, you got vacation time already? And Larry's like, Balki, look around. It's 4 o'clock. This is the rush. And Balki's like, no. She told me there was going to be a rush. And Larry, of course, having to Larry-splain and be right and thinking Balki doesn't know anything, he's like, Balki. And he like takes him by the hand, pushes him by the front door. He's like, look outside. Do you see a rush? And Balki looks outside. He's like, actually, I see a big herd of people coming across the street from the stadium. And then Larry sees and he gets panicky. He goes, oh, my Lord.
Oh, my Lord.
There must have been a game today. And then I love this because it says something about this sport. Balki's like, cousin, they're pulling the parking meters out of the ground. And Larry's like, it must have been a hockey game. I guess only hockey fans pull parking meters out of the ground.
They could be rowdy.
Just then, the front door opens like against them and they're pushed back against the wall. And all these like big, brutish hockey dudes, like giant men come pouring into the place, and they're all loud. It's like a rowdy crowd, right? Complaining, and they're like, I guess it was a bad game. Everyone's mad.
Black
so
Hawks
big
did not
din
win.
Starts.
Yes.
Yeah, this big like commotion in the store. All these people, men and women. One dude even walked in carrying a parking meter.
He brought the parking meter inside. That's great.
And then we just see Larry and Balki huddling in the corner looking scared at what's about to happen.
Oh, they're screwed.
Yep. And that's the end of Act 1.
Before we get to Act 2, listener, if you enjoy the show and you want to get some swag, we got T-shirts, we got hoodies, we got mugs.
Face masks.
We got cell phone cases and pillows, all with our logo at our shop over at TeePublic. Just go to danceofjoypod.com/shop. And TeePublic often has sales throughout the month. You always go back and check. Sometimes stuff is up to 35% off and you get a good deal on tees. And if you buy something, take us a photo, send it in. We want to see it.
Yeah, get your merch and let us see it. We've posted our own pictures already, and some other people have as well. It's really a lot of fun. We love to see it.
danceofjoypod.com/shop. Go there right now.
Go now.
Act 2 opens back at Fat Marcia's, except this time there's a lot different vibe in the place.
Oh, no.
You'll
What's
notice
going on?
It is a chaotic mess. It's a madhouse in there. People are yelling and screaming, and Balki and Larry are frantically trying to assemble plates and trying to get orders out there.
And they're dirty.
They're dirty. They're covered in food stains. And Larry runs out to the middle of the diner with a burger, and there's just people yelling at him. And he goes, who had the puck burger? And it's this large man on one side at the stool goes, "Where's my chili dog?" Larry goes, "I don't know. Just take the puck burger," and runs back into the kitchen. And I love this. He runs back and you hear someone go, "What's wrong with you?" And it's so funny. And just people are just yelling crazy things at him. And it is just, oh my God. I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise and commotion. Larry's frantic. He runs over to Balki, who is standing in the kitchen area just staring at the order wheel, which is just spinning in a circle with tons of order papers on it. And Balki's like, "I lost my place on the wheel. Pat Sajak makes it look so easy."
He got hypnotized by the order wheel and is out of it.
And Larry's like, "Forget the wheel." And he grabs Balki by the shoulders. As they do, they're standing very close together, and he's like, "Don't go to pieces on me now." And he clutches Balki by the face, by the head. He's like, "I need you. Be here for me." And Balki says, "I will." And Larry lets go, and he turns to the grill, and Balki just falls on the floor, just passes out. Oh, no. And then Larry grabs 3 plates of food. He's like throwing stuff on the plates, and Balki gets up off the floor, and he's got a piece of lettuce stuck to his face.
Lettuce.
And Larry slaps Balki lightly in the face and tosses the lettuce off. And he's like, "Are you with me?" And Balki's like, "I am."
And then just then a man at the booth stands up and goes, "Hey, I'd like to eat while I still have my teeth." And Larry grabs the plate, passing the man who's waiting for his chili dog. Larry goes, "It's coming very soon, sir." He carries the food to the table with the complaining, yelling people, drops them down. The guy he gives the food to, he goes, "I still haven't ordered yet." Larry's like, "Well, I ordered for you." And he runs back to the kitchen. This is just a mess. And then I love this. On the way back into the kitchen, the guy who just wants a chili dog reaches over
also a big dude,
very large dude.
With a very 80s mustache.
Yes, very like Tom Selleck mustache. But he gets up, reaches over, grabs Larry by the shirt, pulls him close to his face and goes, "Who do I have to kill to get a chili dog around here?" And Larry goes, "It's ready right now. I'm going to go get it." And he goes over to Balki. He goes, "Balki, I need a chili dog desperately." Balki goes, "They're out of chili."
What?
Oh, no. And then Larry grabs Balki by the shirt. He goes, "What do you mean we're out of chili? We can't be out of chili." Balki's like, "Well, my chili happens to be very popular." Larry goes, "There is a man over there who will kill me if he doesn't get a chili dog." Balki's like, "We're out of chili. We're out of chili. Read my lips. We're out of chili." And then finally, the chili dog guy stands up and goes, "Hey, bozos." And then they both turn to him and they go, "Hi." As they're holding each other. He goes, "I still don't have my chili dog." Larry goes, "It's coming."
And Balki's like, "Wait, that's the guy?" And Larry's like, "Yep." He's like, "Then I suggest we find some chili." So then they break up and they're both looking around frantically for anything that can pass as chili, right?
Oh,
and then
God.
Balki finds something on the stove behind him. It's in a saucepan. He's like, "I found something." Larry's like, "What is?" He's like, "What is it?" And he says, "Well, it looks something like chili." And Larry looks inside. He says, "It's green."
Oh, God.
And then the guy gets up again. The big guy, he's like, "I'm waiting." And Larry's like, "Close enough." And he grabs 2 ketchup squeezy bottles.
Smart move.
And he squirts them both, and they cross streams into the saucepan. And Balki's like frantically stirring it with a spoon. And then Larry holds up a plate with a hot dog, and Balki like pours all of what's in that pot.
It's so
and
nasty.
Half of it's like this glop that's like red on one side and green on the other side.
Yeah.
And he puts it on the hot dog, and Larry puts the plate in front of the man and the guy's like, "This was supposed to be to go." And so then Larry he's like, "Oh, okay, no problem. Opens a paper bag, shakes it open with one side, and then just like dumps the whole plate, the contents of the plate into the bag, and hands the paper bag to the man. So then the chili dog guy, who's huge, but in like a very 80s way, like he's got an 80s mustache. He's got like acid wash jeans with his shirt tucked in. But anyway, he's a big dude. He grabs his paper bag with a chili dog in it, and he goes to the door, and then he bumps into the man with the parking meter, which is a man we've seen before.
Yes.
Anyway, so the chili dog guy bumps into this guy, and they get into a scuffle. They're like, "Watch where you're walking, jerk face. How'd you like me to walk on your face, dirtball?" And then they start shoving around each other, and it turns into this big brawl, and everyone in the place is like encouraging them and yelling and screaming. Larry, this tiny puny Larry between these two big dudes, races to the center and tries to like break up the fight and hold them apart. He's like, we have a strict no fighting policy. And then the parking meter guy just like a wrestling move under his leg picks up the fireman's carry. That's what it is.
From CrossFit,
picks up Larry, puts him on his shoulder, and just jumps around wildly and like he's
spinning around,
screaming. He's like, rah, rah, and he's just spinning in circles, which is such a silly thing to do, but it works in the scene. And then Balki runs out to try to help, and then the chili dog man puts him in a fireman's carry on his shoulders and also starts spinning around.
Just holding him, spinning around.
Like, what kind of fight is this?
Well, I don't know. Is this like from West Side Story? We get a dance fight? What's going on? Just then, Fat Marsha comes in and blows a whistle like a referee and says, break it up. She tells them to put Balki and Larry down, and they do. And the one dude goes, well, these two hockey bucks started it. And she goes, out now. Fat Marsha tells them. And just then, both guys that were fighting step up to her on either side and simultaneously ask, are we still on for tonight? To Fat Marsha. And she goes, I'll let you know as she walks by. Wow, Fat Marsha. Wow, man, Fat Marsha. She gets around. Larry's like, I can explain everything. And Fat Marsha's like, there's nothing to explain. It's always like this during hockey season. She asks Larry, she's like, are you okay? And she's about to grab him in the butt again. But this time he sits down on a stool.
Yeah.
So she can't get to him.
Yeah.
And then she turns to Balki. She goes, well, you okay, Balki? Balki says he's like, I got a little something in my eyes, but otherwise I'm fine. And she goes, well, good, because I was afraid you broken something important. And then she grabs Balki's butt. That's one for Balki finally. Yep. Gives him the little goose pinch and walks away, and Balki's just shocked, and he goes,
he's violated.
He goes, cousin, I just think she just invited me to Club Med.
Oh, boy. Now they've both been harassed by Fat Marsha. And that is the end of a super short Act 2.
Yeah, this episode was mostly Act 1, 2 small short acts. And before we get to Act 3, I just want to let you know, listener, you can buy us a coffee, support the show, keep it going. Visit our website, danceofjoypod.com. There's a little buy us a coffee. You can leave us a tip if you have found some nostalgia and a new love for this show.
Anything you can toss our way will be helpful, or just keep listening. Act 3, we are back at the apartment, and Larry and Balki are run into the dark apartment. They're huffing and puffing, and they slam the door shut. They turn on the light, and we see that they are in greasy, tattered clothes, the clothes that they had worn for the job interview, in fact. But they're running. They had been running. So they're huffing and puffing. And then they turn on the light. And Balki's like, why were those dogs chasing us? And Larry's like, because we smell like cheap hamburger. Yeah, they both acknowledge that they smell gross. And then Larry's like, Larry gets a little down on himself. He's like, I can't believe it. We actually managed to find jobs that are worse than working for Twinkie City.
Oh, my God.
And Balki tries to cheer him up. He's like, it wasn't all that bad. And Larry's like, Balki, we spent a day feeding tainted meat to homicidal hockey fans, not to mention getting sexually harassed by the amazing, colossal woman. What job could be worse? Balki's like, well, what about that lady I saw on television that has to check the waistband on men's underwear? And then Larry laments that they should have taken the pay cut and just stayed with Twinkie City. Now, there's a couple references here. I'm going to go in reverse order. That line, Balki's line, the lady I saw on television that has to check the waistband on men's underwear, is that
the Fruit of the Looms commercial?
Oh, I thought it was just a reference to some adult kind of television.
I think there's a Fruit of the Looms commercial, maybe.
Okay. Maybe that's what that was.
Well, then the other reference is when he calls her the amazing colossal woman. There's a classic B movie from 1957, black and white science fiction film called The Amazing Colossal Man.
Oh, boy.
And so that's probably where that reference comes from.
To that. Yeah. And I'm assuming this amazing colossal man is just like a giant man.
Yeah, it's just a big dude.
Okay, so they're having a bad day. They've just come back. They're like, what is happening? Then there's a knock on the door, and it is the Twinkassettis.
Oh.
Donald and Edwina. Twinkassetti. And Larry immediately starts apologizing. He's like, I know the rent is due, but we don't get paid until the end of the week. And he starts making excuses, and Mrs. Twinkasetti interrupts him. She's like, don't worry about that. I just found out why you quit, and Donald has something he wants to say. And then she goes, speak, Donald.
Speak, Donald.
And Twinkasetti, like a punished child, says, I'd like you to come back to work for me begrudgingly. And Balki's like, what happened to the new guy? And Mrs. Twinkasetti says he's gone. And she goes, tell him why, Donald. Apparently, the new guy was stealing him blind.
Oh, no.
And he says to the guys, now you two are losers, but at least you're honest losers. And Larry's like, high praise indeed.
And then here comes Balki. We've seen him negotiate things in the past. Here comes the Myposian culture. Balki goes, well, we would love to come back and work for you, but it's not possible because we now have new jobs and they're in management trainees and they're advancing quite rapidly. And Larry's like, Balki, he's about to stop him until Balki says, on the other hand, every management trainee has his price. At that point, Larry goes, yes. Oh, I see.
Yes.
So now realizing they're in a position to negotiate, Balki and Larry go to this quick huddle.
This is physical comedy for sure. They turn
away.
They turn in toward each other and off to the back.
Into a huddle. And then Larry turns back around and goes, but we'd be willing to hear your offer. And Mr. Twinkasetti says nothing. And Edwina goes, make him an offer, Donald. And Twinkasetti goes, let's say same job, same pay, no hard feelings. What do you say? And Larry and Balki quickly, they go back into the huddle.
Back into the huddle, off to the back.
Yeah.
Yes.
They turn back
very
again.
well coordinated, yes.
And then Larry goes, let's say we get the raise we should have gotten in the first place. You pay us overtime, and we never hear the word losers again. And Twinkasetti goes, and then Edwina goes, Donald says yes. Answering for him.
And then we hear applause from the audience.
Because they just got their raise.
Yeah, but I kind of wondered if they should have asked for more. Because they had Edwina Twinkasetti on their side.
They did have Edwina on her side, and but they at least it's better than what they had before. And then at that point, Twink is like, "Can I go now? I still have dishes to do." So he's got chores, but that was very Shark Tank of Balki. A little back and forth negotiation.
No, I saw it differently than that. I saw that he only thought of that on the spot. He was being earnest and being like, "No, we already have these other jobs." And then Larry gave him this like, Balki, what are you doing? He's like, oh, but, everybody has their price. So then anyway, Twinkasetti leaves because he's got dishes to do. And Edwina says, it's nice to have you back, boys. And then they both go to thank her and hug her, but she pushes them away. And her face is like disgusted. She's like, do yourselves a favor and burn these clothes. And she leaves. She scuttles out of there. And then Balki and Larry are like, okay, well, we got our jobs back. And they Balki puts his arms around Larry's shoulder and they just like sigh together.
And then you hear the music.
Then we get to lesson time.
You hear the lesson time music.
And Balki asks a very profound question, which I can relate to very much because I've changed jobs and I've stayed in jobs too long and I've been unemployed. He asks this question that's very relatable. He says, why don't we feel happy?
They just went through this whole thing, got a raise, though, and got a little more respect. And why don't we feel happy?
Which is like such an important thing to ask about working in this country.
Wow.
And Larry says, maybe it's because we're going back to the same crummy jobs we hated 2 weeks ago.
Jeez.
And Balki gives us a heartfelt, that's a good point, a very good point. Here comes the lesson. Balki says, here, let's look at it this way. We're not going to have these jobs forever. You came to Chicago to be a photographer, and you will be. And Larry says, yeah, and you didn't travel thousands of miles to be a clerk in a discount store.
No, he didn't.
And Balki, wistfully says, yes, someday I'll graduate from night school and I'll go to college.
He's still going to night school, too. That's interesting.
And Larry says, yeah, then we can tell Twinkasetti what to do with our jobs and mean it. So they're like dreaming of a better time. They're just happy, just thinking of these prospects. They're like, okay, we figured it out. This is just temporary. We're going to get what we want. We're going to work toward it. They're happy. And then Balki's like, I'm happy. You know what I feel coming on?
Oh, boy.
And Larry says, a dance of joy. Yeah. And then they dance of joy into the end credits.
Into the credits.
And there's even dance of joy music that plays.
Yeah, it's great. And roll credits. So this last little bit is interesting. Is it foreshadowing their employment situation which, as if you've watched the show, we all kind of, it's going to happen next season.
Yeah. Most likely. I mean, what we don't know is, and what I'd love to know more about is like, was it like Ernie Sabella wasn't renewed for the next season, or did they not know if they were coming for next season, or I don't know what it was.
And so, yeah, they might have not had like a multi-season pickup or get renewed.
The story along.
I'm very fascinated because things are going to change a lot very soon, and I want to find out why. But great episode with. I love the diner. I love all the physical comedy with the cookie. It's just nice to see them in that situation for comedy.
Mm-hmm. So this is perhaps the last episode we see Ernie Sabella. But it's not the last time we see Belita Marino.
It's the last time we're going to see Mrs. Twinkasetti, but not
the last time we'll see her as Edwina Twinkasetti, but she does come back as another character in later seasons.
So Fat Marcia, played by actress Susan Kellerman, who did a great job as Fat Marcia. She steals the scene, and she's been working for lots of years. She's been, here's a classic reference on Taxi. Remember Latka, who's played by Andy Kaufman, of course?
Yeah.
She played Latka's mother.
Oh, interesting.
On Taxi. And she played a sadistic fat farm coach, Bambi, in an episode of Laverne and Shirley, where they went to the fat farm. So I felt like that lady seemed a little familiar.
She seemed like one of those familiar faces from that era.
There's another couple great kind of side characters in here. So the guy who orders the meatloaf, the construction worker, who's there briefly. This is Louis Arquette. Louis Arquette is the father of the acting Arquette family. Rosanna Arquette. Yes, Patricia Arquette. David is also Arquette. Alexis and Richmond. He is the Arquette father. Sadly, he did pass away in 2001. But he's I love Patricia Arquette. I love David Arquette. I love Rosanna Arquette. I've always loved the Arquettes. And this is his dad, which is interesting, right? And then you mentioned that dude who's beating up Larry, who we saw before, the guy that looks like Mike Ditka or Dick Butkus put together.
That guy is called Alan Graff. He's played a bully on this very show before.
The first date episode, remember, where they went, Balki had a date and Susan went with Larry.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, no, this is...
it was the singles bar.
They go to the singles bar, yeah. They go to the singles bar and try to pick up, and he hits on his
and then he was
girlfriend.
Also in the Greek restaurant where we first saw the Dance of Joy.
So that guy just likes to beat... Yes, he was that guy, too. That guy likes to beat Mark Lynn-Baker, just toss him around. Here's a couple of things we didn't see in this episode. Shockingly, no Dimitri appearance.
Oh, where is Dimitri? Well, they weren't.
There wasn't really a chance. Yeah, there wasn't a chance. And don't be ridiculous. Never said.
Oh man.
Of course, I
Zero
don't be ridiculous.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen again. But we did get some other great Balkiisms. Right from the beginning, when Larry and Balki go first class, they eat the whole hog. And then he says, Cousin Larry put it in very uncertain terms.
You're darn tootin'.
You're darn tootin'. I guess we're snookered. We're going to have to chew the bullet on this one, which technically should make the same meaning as bite the bullet. Because if you're biting, you're chewing. Anyway.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
And then when he calls himself an equal opportunity.
I'm an equal opportunity. Other fun catchphrases. I love where they go, ha, 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 back and forth. Ha. I love Larry's.
Oh, my
that's my favorite.
Lord.
That's my favorite Larry catchphrase, I think, is, oh, my Lord. They got a hi in unison. Yeah. And then that's a good point. That's very good.
And then we have some running gags that come back. Balki crying until he gets something. I want to be cooked.
I want to be cooked.
Balki laughing at his own joke. Both of them grabbing each other by the shirt. Simultaneous sighs, and of course the Dance of Joy.
And a Dance of Joy. Big points for having, because wasn't that in the last episode too? They did the Dance of Joy on the up on the roof in the beginning when they were figuring out the shot and stuff.
That's right. Yeah,
it's 2 episodes in a row. Dance of Joy. Interesting.
Yeah. All right, and now we are at the segment of our show that we call Perfect Strangers Today, in which we wonder if this story were taking place today, how would this episode be different? Like, how would it be filmed differently? What different considerations would there be, etc.? So the biggest thing here is about workplace harassment.
Yes.
Which is talked about a lot more. Obviously, it was still talked about then. That's why it made it onto the show. But back in 87, it was still something people were joking about on sitcom television.
It was a different time. Fat Marsha would be in a lot of trouble today.
That's right. And so would the makers of a sitcom show that treated it this way.
Right.
There's a lot more serious attention on these things these days, and there would have had to be some sort of redeeming lesson or something specifically about that.
And on this show specifically, and we're going to see it again in another episode, it's the kind of the reverse. It's the men getting harassed by aggressive women. I find that's very interesting. Obviously, they're the leads.
They're the leads, yeah.
Right.
So.
But even that they chose to tackle it going that way. And there's going to be another one that it's all about this, and Balki has an incident. So
yeah, but they have to be because they're the stars of the show.
Right.
I mean, they couldn't have. It was too early in the show to make Jennifer and Marianne a bigger focus for a story like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they had to do, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I guess the other thing would be you're looking for a job, you just go to like Indeed or LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're not going through employment agencies anymore. Do those even exist? There's
still headhunters and
there are
recruitment
job
offices.
boards. Yeah, but they hit you up on LinkedIn.
I guess
I just went through this whole thing for several months.
You know what? That's probably why I can't get another job. I barely use my LinkedIn. I'm like, I can't be bothered. Another thing.
You got to get on. And other job boards. It's all on the internets now. It's all on the social medias. You wouldn't be going through. I don't even think employment agencies exist or looking at ads in the newspaper.
And then there still are diners like this that are around. Like literally, there's still these greasy-spoon old school diners. And the only thing I can relate to is I worked at Starbucks for a few years in college out in New York City. Yeah. And that, I remember, similar when
Rush
it got
hour?
crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
But then I remember the feeling of mastering the flow of espresso and rush hour.
Yeah.
When I was the head barista and that rush came, I got so good at it. Like you were in the zone. And
Fun fact for our dear listeners, both Imran and Sophia worked barista jobs all through college.
Do you have a disaster story where it got crazy or were you
I never
always
worked
cool?
at a Starbucks. Yeah. I worked at a couple other places, but there was one coffee shop I worked at that was in a suburban shopping mall, and I worked there through the Christmas season, and it was just madness.
That's the
so
worst.
Many people.
Christmas is the worst.
And we had this manager who was insisted that you have to greet every customer while they're still on the welcome mat. Just inside the front door. Anyway, we digress. But yes, we both know what it's like to be in a hectic food service type of job. Yeah. Fat Marsha would be in a lot of trouble today. If this happened today, the episode would be called perhaps #MeToo.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, because it is a power play on the part of the boss. But she didn't make them any threats or anything. She was just
that's true.
Casually. Also, it's funny how they treated the harassment coming from a woman. They almost played it off as sassy and cute. And the guys mentioned it, but it wasn't a traumatic event. Usually when we see it the other way around, it becomes a bigger thing.
Well, the next time it gets dramatic, I believe.
Yes.
There you got a point. Okay, as far as this week's Balki Duds, our new fun segment with, of course, our new internet friend, Rainey at Balki Duds on Instagram. Follow that account. She documents all of Balki's vests and clothes on the TV show. She sent an email this week, no audio. Okay. She says, no fashion report this week. Trogdor makes an appearance, and then it's mostly the diner uniform, kind of a cute striped jacket, but next week. So I think this is a good time to explain Trogdor, because I did look up the Trogdor, Sophia.
Okay. Is it a Pokemon?
It is not. It's
like a Pokemon.
So the vest she's talking about in the beginning, you see it's like that black vest with the red, and it has the red S snake.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, she calls this one Trogdor.
So
Got it.
Remember, she was like, everyone knows Trogdor, the internet. The Burminator? He's called Trogdor, the internet Burminator. He Burninator. Anyways, this goes back to a really early internet viral cartoon called Homestar Runner. Do you remember
No.
Homestar Runner at all?
I don't know anything about this.
This is it's hard to even explain Strong Bad and Homestar, and there were a bunch of shorts, but it was the first time you saw original series of cartoons online that were just being made by a dude, and it got huge. This is early 2000s, I think. But anyways, there was a dragon.
Those were the years I lived in another country. I missed all the early internet stuff.
That's so there was a dragon called Trogdor in an S shape that he has little wings and he's got like one arm. And that's where it comes from. And I was like, so this is like from 2000, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Early internet.
So that's what Rainey calls this vest that we see.
Because the S's look like Trogdor, the internet burninator. He's
and
the
if you want to see Rainey's other descriptions, Balki Duds gives all of Balki's vests unique names. And you can see them all in a spreadsheet linked from the Balki Duds Instagram page.
We got one shout out, Sophia, that was a message sent to our Facebook page.
Okay.
From listener Hugor Schlitz. Sorry.
Hugor
Schlitz. He sent this like late last month and I forgot. Sorry, Hugor.
Oh, sorry, Hugor Schlitz. It's my brother's fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. I'll take the blame. Anyways, Hugo says, my girlfriend and I recently rewatched The Leftovers, and I think it's the first or second episode of the 3rd season that Marklyn Baker is in.
Oh.
Well, it hit me there. I've watched The Office 5 times, King of the Hill 3 times. Why am I not watching Perfect Strangers?
Get out of the city!
It wasn't until season 6 that I realized you guys existed, and you've started so recently. The mountain you're climbing looks huge, but I'm sure it's not that steep. The fact that you guys are related probably makes things easier. I'm close with my sister, too. I just want to thank you for what you guys are doing, and I love the show. I tell anyone who I think would care. Also, when you get to season 3, see if you can get an interview with Jo Marie Payton, who she will end up being the mom on Family Matters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice,
Isn't
Hugo
that fun?
Schlitz. And please forgive my brother for not reading this till just now. That is so nice. And I love this line. The mountain is huge, but not that steep.
He's right, because we are getting close to the end of the 2nd season, and, there's still like 5 seasons left.
Yeah, and also it's not a steep mountain. We're having fun along the way.
One step at a time. Yeah, you take one ridge at a time. So the Leftovers, it was an HBO series by, I think it was one of the guys from Lost, Damon Lindelof or Carlton Cuse. I forget. One of them made it. And apparently there's a reference. It's about like the rapture. And like half the people like disappear suddenly. Yes. Apparently, Marklyn Baker is in it, and they talk about Perfect Strangers. And
I've seen that clip.
Oh, you have? So does he get left behind, or is he's obviously not?
I don't remember, but he's playing Marklyn Baker.
He's playing himself talking about
Perfect Strangers.
Really? Yeah. We'll have to get into that at some point, because I watched the 1st season of the show and I was like, it's all right. I don't know. It didn't really hook me. And so I know it's in the 3rd season. But I never continued. So
thank you so much, Hugo Schlitz, for this note. We will look into this and come back with some more details.
And then the other shout out I have, sister, is to you.
To me?
Yes, for the amazing.
What'd I do?
Well, it was my birthday earlier this week, and listener, my sister got me an amazing gift. It's a Cameo video shout out from none other than Bronson Pinchot.
Get out of the city!
And Balki Bartakamas.
As Balki, and he says both of our names.
Anyway, how you doing? Imran and Sophia, I hope you are having a nice day today. And have you had turtlecicles? They're so delicious. You get a turtle that is roadkill, of course. You would never kill a turtle on purpose. Purpose? Is this a word? Purpose. And then you can dip it in hot chocolate or butterscotch or my favorite, seaweed.
Balki sends Imran. And it's really funny, and he doesn't say happy birthday in the whole thing, but
that was a little weird, but it was still a really funny message.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm the best sister ever. Write in and tell us if you think that's the best sister gift for a brother who's your co-host on an 80s rewatch podcast.
You know what? I didn't tell you. This is what I'm going to put up. I was working on a reaction video where it's me and the video. We can
play that as well,
side by side. So you can go, if you visit, you'll see this reaction video.
We're recording this episode a couple weeks in advance from when we air it. So you've probably
already seen it by now.
You might have already seen it by now, but I will take the shout out anyway.
Link to all those in the show notes.
If you are still with us, we thank you all so much, and send us some messages like Hugo Schlitz and Balki Duds and others, and join us again next week when it will be the season 2 finale.
What? We've made it to the end of season 2,
We've made
sister.
it to the end of season 2, and next week's episode is something that might be relatable to us because we meet Larry's sister.
Oh, I can't wait to meet Elaine.
So we see a little brother-sister dynamic, just like us.
Elaine's the pistol. Elaine's a pistol. I can't wait to meet this girl.
Yes. In the meantime, please visit our website at danceofjoypod.com. There you can find all the links to all the podcast platforms that we're on. Leave us a rating and a review in Apple Podcasts. If you're enjoying the show, let us know. And you can always just message us directly. Send us a good old-fashioned email at danceofjoypod@gmail.com or leave us a voice message from our website.
Thank you for listening. Make sure you share this show with all your perfect strangers friends, all the Mark Lynn Baker fans that you know. It's a very niche group, I know. But find them, share it. And now we are so happy.
We do the dance of joy.
Hey.